Check out this table that I just made. It's actually my first flower table, and I wanted to share with you guys how I made it and how you can too. So the first thing I did was find a table base, and I'm on Amazon here, and this is the table that I picked. It's a regular side table, but I was looking for something where the tabletop was hollow and at least 2 inches deep so that I can pour into it and have enough room to place some flowers inside as well. This is just the easier way to create a table because I don't have to worry about the table legs. They're already included, and I don't have to demold anything because I can just pour into the tabletop directly. I've included the link to this item in the description box, but I noticed that it's currently unavailable, so I'm going to show you some other options that I found on Amazon that are available. At the bottom of the page, I saw this table that looked really similar, and this would work great. It comes in a lot of different colors too. I'm gonna do a general search for tray side table and see what comes up. And you can see there's a lot of options. You just want to go for something that has an empty center and it's deep enough so that you can pour your resin inside of it. This table also caught my eye, and it also comes in a lot of different colors, and I think it would be a really good one. I hope that gives you a general idea of what to look for in a table base. I'm getting started on arranging my flowers into my table. I've already poured the first layer of resin. It's a very thin layer, and I'm using KS Resin Liquid Cast. That's the casting resin I always use when working with flowers and deep castings. If you want to try KS Resin, you can use code MarinaMakesArt at checkout. When it comes to basics of drawing flowers, casting resin, removing bubbles, all of that information, I'm not going to go over it in this video. I do have courses on my website that explain everything in detail. If you want to check it out, you can find it at marinamakesart.com/courses. But for this video, I'm just going to go through how I made this table, and anything that's in my courses can of course be applied here as well. I'm going to finish arranging my flowers in this first layer, and then I'll let it cure overnight and come back tomorrow and pour my second layer. It's day 2, and I want to add gold leaf to this layer. The first layer of resin is cured now, so it's completely hardened, and I'm just gonna put gold leaf all around the flowers, and it'll stick directly to the resin. And after I'm finished adding the gold leaf all around, I'm gonna pour my next layer of resin. So I had a lot of fun putting this design together. I didn't go in with a set plan, I just did whatever felt right to me. But I knew I wanted to add some gold leaf component, so I used this real gold leaf. It's actually real 24 karat gold, and that's why it clings to the surface so well without any glue. Real gold and real silver is really clingy and it'll stick to everything. And I originally wanted just a little bit of gold leaf here and there to let the bamboo and the contrast of the black shine through. And as I was doing this, I felt like, wow, this gold is really cool, because on the resin it has a mirror effect that I didn't really expect. When you use like fake gold leaf, it doesn't come through like that. it looks more like a little bit of a dingy vintage gold. But this real gold leaf, it was just, I don't know, kind of mesmerizing. So I just kept going and kept building on top of the gold layer by layer. And I really, really liked it. Turned out not what I planned it to be, but it was a really creative, fun process. And I think that's the beauty of creativity, where you get started somewhere and then you end up in places you never really thought you were gonna end up. And this is where I ended up. I'm gonna pour my next layer of casting resin on top of this gold leaf so that I can keep building the table layers. Now that my resin is poured, I'm gonna let that cure overnight and come back tomorrow. It's day 3 and this is going to be my final design layer. I will be adding more gold leaf to the top and then a few bits of florals on top of that. My artistic style is based on depth and dimension. So I create this by first putting all the big elements in the first layer, like I did with all the flowers. And then I will build on top of that by adding smaller components that overlap in the subsequent layers. And that creates this sense of depth when the viewer is looking into your finished piece. They can see that there are different elements in each layer. There's a lot of thought and there's a lot of sophistication that comes with that when it looks like things are floating on top of each other. I'm finished adding my gold and I'm gonna pour my next layer of casting resin into the table, and I will let that settle and then add my final flowers. I'm getting rid of the remaining bubbles with my heat gun, and then I'm gonna place my little flowers into this layer. Now I'm finished adding all my flowers to this third layer. I'm gonna let it cure overnight and then come back the following day and pour another layer of resin. And I'm gonna keep repeating that until the entire table is fully submerged in resin. So I needed about 3 more layers to cover this entire table. On days 4 through 6, I just poured a single layer of resin. I didn't add anything else to it. I didn't film that, but I just wanted to let you know that that's how I completed the casting of this table. Now we're here on day 7. This is going to be the final pour for my table, and I've done a little bit of sanding. That's why the table looks matte. I used my sander with a 120 grit sandpaper and just lightly sanded the top to get it a little bit more flat than it was. And then I went over that with a 240 grit sandpaper to make sure that my casting comes through clear when I top coat it. I'm taking my top coating resin and pouring a thin layer over the tabletop. I'm going to use my gloved hand to spread out the resin evenly and then let it settle and take care of the bubbles with my heat gun. I'm using KS Resin Liquid Stone Elite. That's the top coating resin that I usually use. And top coating resin is a lot harder than casting resin. So when you're making a tabletop or a tray or coasters, any casting where something's gonna sit on top of it and you need a hard surface, it's best that you do a top coat with top coating resin to make sure that that surface is hard enough to support the weight of another object. I'm gonna let my top coat sit overnight so it cures, and then tomorrow it'll be all finished and ready to put my table legs on this tabletop. It's the 8th and final day of making this table, so I'm assembling the table legs into the tabletop, and all the hardware was already included. So here's the final reveal of what the table looks like. What do you guys think? I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys would like to see me create. Thank you for watching.